Hello everyone, I just thought I would do a review of the 31 lessons that have just passed in A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you're going through the lessons again, but it's just interesting to read through them all. So it starts off, as we know, lesson 1, nothing I see means anything. Then I have given everything I see the meaning that it has. Then I do not understand anything that I see. And then the thoughts inwardly don't mean anything. So we're looking outside of ourselves to start with. Then we're turning it inwards to the mind, where all the action really is, and looking at them from that perspective. So once we get into the thoughts, we're then switching it to the emotions that get created from the thoughts themselves. It's lesson 5. And lesson 6, I'm upset because I see something that is not there. So it's the creation of the thought in your mind, the meaning that you've placed onto it, that is creating the emotion that isn't really there. It's all an illusion. It's all your imagination, and it's causing you suffering. Then we move on to the past. So we're going into the area that doesn't even exist, and yet there we can spend a lot of our time. So that lesson number 7 is I see only the past. So you see only something that does not exist. Then you move on to lesson 8, how your mind is just totally preoccupied with those past thoughts. So instead of living in the now, you're stuck in an illusion, and you see nothing as it is right now because you're too busy ruminating in the world that does not exist. And then you're asked to realize that your thoughts do not mean anything. They're just a complete creation of the mind that you get attached to, and you create all these emotions about. Really, all we have is right now. Then it gets even more interesting. We realize we're living in a completely meaningless world because everything we created is meaningless, and we're stuck in that aspect, which is lesson 12. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. Then you get upset because you're seeing a meaningless world that you created. So you're upset with your own creation. How mad is that? And then it starts snowballing. So the meaningless world engenders fear. So all of these meanings, all of this creation that you've got are starting to bubble and bring the awful feeling, which is fear, which puts us in this state of not living, just surviving. And we have created it all. Now 14 is where we're challenged that God did not make a meaningless world. When we look outside, when we spend our time in nature, which is very present, we feel alive. That wasn't created as meaningless. It was created as a beautiful experience where you feel so present when you're in an aspect of God that is the truth. Then we see that our thoughts are images that we've made. We made the visuals of what those thoughts mean, because how many times do we have a thought and yet we've got a whole scenario playing out at the same time? So we're having such a visceral experience, but it's not here. It's in here. It's in the mind, the illusion. It's like we've got those goggles, that you can see in these games where you can put them on and you're in that world. You're living in that world. You're not living here. You're living in a world of your own creation. And no thoughts that you have are neutral. All of them hold some kind of emotional pull for you in different directions. So you're never present, you're pulling yourself future, past, future, past, future, past. And nothing you see are neutral. No things that you see around you are neutral because you've got a meaning on them. You've got thoughts about them. Even when you look at them, they could pull a different feeling towards you. All of this is coming from the mind, and all of those thoughts that on all of the objects, the people, and everything you see around you. Those things are shooting out and are being projected onto those things. And so what happens when you do that? Well, as lesson 18 says, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. So you do affect others because of the view that you hold about those things around you sends off an energy And of course, it affects those people around you. And again, you're not alone in experiencing the effects of your thoughts, because those thoughts, again, are hitting out and creating this world that is all in your head and pulling different people into your illusion. So we are making a nice little messy soup around us. But then we want to start working on what we're determined to do. We're determined to see the truth. We don't want to live like this anymore. We want to move forward and we want to see the world as it actually is. That we are seeing a world of vengeance, of our own creation. We're creating all of this angst because it's in our mind. And when we drop all of that, we'll start to see the truth. So let's get rid of the vengeance and know that you can give up this world that you see by giving up all of those attack thoughts. Then we move on to that we do not perceive our own best interests. So how can we perceive our own best interests when we're living in an illusion? If we're not in the real world, then we cannot make sure that things are going right for us because we're too lost in a complete illusion, in a complete fabrication of the mind, in all of these imaginings. And until we get to the real truth of who we really are, what we're really doing here, then we will never be able to perceive our own best interests. And so we don't know what anything is for. So we need to realize that too. We don't know what anything right now is for because we're lost in the illusion. So the next one, which is a bit harder to get your head round, is that my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. So we think that we're a physical thing, a body, which is what the mind has created, why we've looked on these things and we've created these meanings onto them, which is ourselves as well. This body, what we see in the mirror, we've come to recognize it, we've given it a meaning, and we've created this whole thing which has feelings and thoughts and everything that goes with it, and we think now it can be attacked. And so all of the thoughts that are creating this attack feeling onto others, it's just, again, madness. We've created madness. So vulnerability and invulnerability are just thoughts. They're not real. So let's drop all of it. Drop, drop, drop. That's what all of these lessons are saying. Drop the meanings, drop the thoughts, drop the emotions, drop all of those things that are causing you all of this suffering. And when you do, and you get very present, life is going to really transform for you. Then we move in and we're getting more closer to what we really want, and that is that above all else, we want to see the truth, don't we? That's what we want to do. And then we get to the beautiful part that God is in everything that you see. When you realize that, you think it kind of moves those meanings off of things because God is that purity, God is love. And then when you suddenly have, like, God is in everything I see, there's a little light that shimmers in the things that you see, in the people that you see. You think God's in that table, God's in that person, God's in me. And that starts to add this light. And then we turn it to our beautiful, the one lesson I love the most, which is God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. So we want to put that sparkle of light in there and let that unfold. And then the last lesson that we're going to focus on today is lesson 31, which we end this month with. And that is that I am not the victim of the world I see. You're not a victim. You're only a victim if you believe that you're helpless and that, these things are getting you and attacking you. But that's not the truth. You're not a victim because you created it. You're actually the creator. So when you're the creator, what can you do? You can create something better. And that is where we are when we move through January with A Course in Miracles. So I hope you've enjoyed this monthly review, and I'll be back in February to go over the next ones. Take care and see you soon.